guys. We're here with Michael Lynch from Stairway Recovery. How are you?
Not so good.
Not so good. Yeah. And Tyson, we're here. You're here as well from Fuck Fentanyl and Stairway Recovery too.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah. So today is a sad day. I just heard this news that you lost somebody close to you from fentanyl.
Yeah. Well, Sunday morning, I woke up to a family member of one of our friends calling saying how he had died from a fentanyl overdose. He was a friend for about 5 years. We're all close to him, and he thought he can do it one more time. And then this morning, I had planned coming out here, and then getting up, and my friend Alex's mom called me, and he's been in our community for about 7 years.
Wow.
Really close, and yeah, it's kind of a shocker right now.
Yeah. What was his name?
Alex.
Alex. Okay. I think we should take a moment of silence for Alex. All right. And everybody else that has lost their lives to fentanyl. Fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. 300 people a day are dying from fentanyl poisoning. That's an airplane going down every single day. If an airplane was going down every single day for a week straight, what would people do? What would happen?
I was thinking about that on the drive right now, and
Yeah.
probably not the most logical thinking at this point, but
Yeah.
absolutely fuck fentanyl. But if a gun was sitting right here and nobody touched it and it wasn't handed to somebody, did that gun kill somebody? No.
Right. Yeah.
It's the person using the gun that's killing somebody, right? I think fuck fentanyl dealers. That's what I think.
Yeah, me too.
I think fuck fentanyl dealers. At the end of the day, if I knew there was a poison, if anyone knew that there was a poison, and I understand at the beginning, like if you have a substance or a product and then you find out that something's wrong with it and you're distributing it to the public and then you find out that it's poison, at the point that you know that and you continue to do it,
Yeah.
it's mass murder. If that were actual poison in our society, you'd be convicted. You'd probably face a death penalty, and these drug dealers are just doing that. And I'm including doctors in this too, and Big Pharma,
Yeah.
because they know too. They know too.
So what do you think is going on?
What do I think's going on?
Yeah. Like, how is this happening on this scale, and how is it growing bigger and bigger and bigger and not getting less and less and less?
Well, one, you have people that are arguing over which side you're on, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or, and it keeps the masses and the sheep busy, while Big Pharma pays off both sides. And these politicians have zero interest in helping people. Their interest is their pocketbook. And just like when the Sackler family distributed what started this opiate crisis was OxyContin. And OxyContin, they of course hired, they did their tests and they hired renowned doctors, and these renowned doctors said, this is what we're doing. And all doctors is they get 3 hours of their whole career in addiction training.
3 hours.
3 hours.
That's
in
disgusting.
their whole education. But they have a pad to prescribe.
Right now it's still that way.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And so what they do is leading doctors. So what they do is they take when the medical journals come out, and what leading doctors say is what they go by. So they say, okay, this is what we're doing for this. This is what we're doing for this. Doctors don't really think for themselves. What they do is they follow what the leading doctors are saying.
Yeah.
The problem with that is the leading doctors are actually paid off by Big Pharma, and they're the ones doing the studies, but yet they get paid for the study.
Yeah.
So what is in their best interest is not to say, to the person paying them, no, this is not good. No, they get paid for it. They put it out in a journal, and doctors follow it. That is exactly why the opiate crisis started. And if anybody doesn't think that, you're living under a rock. That's exactly what happened in the 90s and into the 2000s. And it started this opiate crisis. and I think that this is my opinion on it. I think that there's certain foreign countries that saw an opportunity,
Yeah.
and there's fentanyl is created. The precursor to fentanyl that we have on the streets is only created by one country, only one, the precursor, and it's China. And that precursor is sent down to the cartels in Mexico, and then it's sent over here over our borders. And you look at a generation is being killed. What generation is that? It's a generation that would fight. The one thing about the United States, whatever opinion you may have, we have always been the strongest military country. We have been a country that if you mess with an American, you got a problem no matter what. So, I think that, I think that we see what's going on, and we're losing a whole generation of people. And that's the bigger thing. And I can't do, personally, what can I do about China?
Right.
But what I can do is I think that, like, it does matter to each addict. And there is a solution to each addict. And my favorite story out of all stories I've ever heard is I don't know if anyone has heard this one, is, you got this, this old man is walking down and he sees this little boy and he's running down the beach and he's thrown these starfish into the ocean that had washed ashore. And the old man's looking at this boy and he's running around, he's throwing them back. And the old man says, "What are you doing?" And he's like, I'm and he didn't say anything, keeps throwing them. He's like, you can't, there's miles and miles of beach. You are not going to save them all. And he goes, it doesn't matter what you're doing. And the little boy picks one up, looks at the old man and says, it matters to this one, and throws it. And I think that with addicts, and, I think that, if we stop sitting on the sidelines, and having, there's so many critics and so many opinions sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Whether it's your doctors that don't even know a person that really overdosed and died, not in their family. You have a lot of these, I'm going to say it, treatment center owners in this industry, in this sick, broken industry of mental health and addiction. And you have all these people on the sidelines with a lot of opinions, and they're not doing anything about it, and it's like a general, or it's like a person sitting up on a hill watching a war going on, not being involved, and when it's over, going down and shooting the wounded. And that's what's happening with the doctors in this industry, with the treatment professionals, with even politicians, and all of these people sitting with an opinion, but they don't really even know what's going on because they don't see it. It's not their friends. It's not their family, and it's starting to affect others,
right?
Because more and more it is starting to go into those homes.
Yep, sure is.
And I've heard a lot of people say a lot, it's like, oh my gosh, what's the point? And one person, like, I think about, like, Tyson, my friend right here, or me, or even you, and it's like, I know your background, I know his background, I had a lot of the background with him, I know my background, and like, we lived a very selfish life most of our lives and just doing whatever we wanted, right? And for some reason, and I'll say personally, I don't know why God decided to get me clean. I don't even know. I think I do now, but I didn't deserve it. But, for a very long time, I had a lot of opinions on a lot of stuff, but there was no action behind it, and today, I'm trying to do my best, one addict at a time. Yeah. And I'm not talking about treatment. I'm talking about trying to help an addict get clean, which is the easy part, actually. Getting clean is easy. I can get clean in a high-end treatment center with your acupuncture and massages, or you can get clean on a county jail floor like I did. Either way, you're clean. The hard part is staying clean.
Right.
That is the hardest part in this game. And I can help with that. I can play a part in a human's life, because the opposite, it is true, is the opposite of addiction is connection.
Yep.
And if I can go out of my way to try to connect with that hopeless addict, I can help plant a seed and allow God to make it grow.
Yeah.
But I actually have to do my part to plant the seeds.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if more of us would get off the sidelines and join this movement and join this war that we're in, we can help and raise awareness. Like what you're doing, awareness is another thing. It's like the more people that are not afraid to speak out against the doctors that are still poisoning our people with Suboxone maintenance and harm reduction and other narcotic medications, these drug dealers that are out there pushing, poison to our people, and us just accepting that as like, oh, well, doesn't matter. It matters.
Yeah.
But if we look at the people and if everyone comes in and gets involved and starts trying to help these addicts and declare war and talk about who our real enemies are.
Yeah.
No,
I totally agree with what you're saying. And, it's one thing to bring awareness and to talk about it, but like you said, what are we actually doing?
Yep.
So I think it's important for people to believe that one person's worth it, and to plant those seeds. Like, how do you do that? How do you plant those seeds and help somebody?
However God has me do it, to be honest. It's funny that I even talk about God. I used to be so anti-God because of my childhood. I thought I was such a victim, But to me, God's my biggest part, and not your God. I don't have a name of the God, but the God that has found me, And personally, I wake up and I say on my prayer every morning, thank you, God, for waking me up clean. Show me who to help today. I don't know what that's going to look like. Sometimes it's a phone call when I get up and someone's talking to me. I open up a messenger or an Instagram. There's so many people I talk to just randomly. I don't even know, and then sometimes it's the people that are like my friends, like my friend Alex, Alex, I helped him get clean, and I brought him in our community. And the one thing is even though he passed, he knows he was loved. And I know that. And he had said to me, as so many have before, is that they had never felt loved or connected until they came in our community. And to me, that's not a waste just because he passed, because one, I don't think this is the end personally, but two, even if it is, that he was loved and felt that love and connection and knew that recovery is possible.
Yeah.
And also, because of him, there's so many people that he ran into, that he planted seeds.
Right.
And I happen to believe that there is no death in vain. I make sure of it, any of them in my life. I used to get really upset when my friends died. And unfortunately, I've had a life where a lot of my friends and all my family have died. And before, I used to just get so angry and I felt so powerless. And but I'm not, because every single person now, since I got clean, that dies, I make a conscious effort to do more, to help more.
Yeah.
And so many times I've thought to myself, because this is in my life today, it's like literally 7 days a week, all the time. I've sacrificed pretty much everything to help addicts, and I'm not a victim for it. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
That God would choose a person like me to try to plant seeds,
So how did that all start for you doing this? Because let's go back to your past, right? So obviously you're in recovery, spent a lot of time in prison.
Yeah.
Got out. And then how did this all come to be?
Gosh. Quick synopsis. I don't have any family. My parents didn't want to be in the parenting game. Raised by my grandparents, they died, so I was raised in the system. I learned how to hustle since a little kid. I always say my first hustle, I was selling fireworks at 10 years old at school. And I ended up getting arrested a lot. I ended up getting arrested a lot, and went to juvenile hall, California Youth Authority, prison. As a matter of fact, I met Tyson in prison 23 years ago.
23 years ago. That's crazy.
I know, it's dope. You know what's dope about this is like he and I weren't like, and not to talk shit on, like, I don't think anyone's cooler anymore because you've been to certain yards, you're part of certain gangs. I used to think that though.
Yeah.
But he and I were, we were very serious about dumb ass shit like gangs and politics, and we were very heavy in the prison and gang world in there and outside of there. And it's cool because we were extremists for that stuff, and today we're the same way with this,
I love that.
I do too. And I know he's solid, you know what I mean? He's like a down motherfucker that chose a different life, not because he's weak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah. But yeah, I ended up when I was in prison with him. Actually, I got out. I created this. I had this idea to create an underground fight club.
That we talked about in prison before he got released.
Yeah.
And he made it a reality.
Yeah. I'm actually one of those people. It's funny. I thought about myself. I'm kind of weird in some ways. Like most people that go to prison and jail, whenever you go in there, everyone's got all these intentions. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm one of those that like, I'm a compulsive planner. So I'd come up with all these schemes, which was always to my detriment. Cause I would get out every time I'd get out of prison or YA, or I'd create some idea on some new crimes and I would get out and do them. It's the honest truth. But then,
Like selling kidneys.
Yeah. I had a hustle to sell kidneys. We won't go into that.
That's a whole other show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's funny. Anyway, so yeah, I came up with this idea. I didn't know about a lot of things. I liked fighting and I liked gangs and I like organizing people. So I created a company called Felony Fights.
Okay.
Which was an underground fight club.
Let's get it.
Yeah, get that shit, homie, was my tagline. I'm the guy in the middle of all of them. It hit best-selling all over the world. It was the most violent content at the time. Back before YouTube was so PC, we were like number 1 on YouTube. It was massive. And
it's funny when I say your name to people, that's usually, that's the guy that did the felony fights.
I know. That's cool and all. I hope that one day that people will be like, man, that guy's the guy that like helps people.
I'm sure it's going to go to that. Yeah. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah. I liked violence before. That was my thing. But yeah, that hit big, and I did a bunch of those different kind of fight series, from a bunch of felony fights, a series called Queen of the Hood with all girl fights. I did Porn Star Punch Out hosted by Ron Jeremy. I had porn stars fighting and for pay-per-view. I also got into the adult game and all of that. And, but the felony fights was kind of what I was known for. And I ended up destroying my life. I hit a cop when I was drunk one morning.
Like driving?
No, I punched him.
Oh, you punched him?
Because he touched me, yeah.
Okay.
I had a resentment towards a law enforcement or any authority. So I didn't really vibe with them at the time. So yeah, I ended up, and I'm a 3 striker. So they tried to give me life. And I had an attorney, a friend that by this time, like I got out of prison, I became a multimillionaire, and I'm a poor kid. I come from nothing. And doing all that stuff, I had houses and all this different stuff. And for once, I didn't run out of money for drugs and alcohol. And I hit a deeper bottom than I ever had, though. And I was going to kill myself. And I've never been one of those guys. I was more like, you should get killed. And that's like soldier shit. You don't take your own life. But I had decided in a multi-million-dollar home one morning that I'd once again threw out everything that mattered, and I didn't know about AANA. I didn't know anything about any of that, and I thought that I must be crazy, because one morning I woke up and once again, I had a daughter while I was in prison, and I wanted to be a dad so bad. I wanted to not continue the cycle of my family. Because I come from generations of fucked up, all the way back to Ireland, and I had all the intentions in the world, and I got her, and I somehow once again fucked that up, and then the state took her. Of course, I'm a victim, so I'm blaming them. Yeah. I had a wife that I found, and she just like loved me, and I threw that out. To this day, I don't know why I threw her out. She's getting in the way of my using. Yeah, and I decided to kill myself one morning, and weirdly, because I'd been bailed out on this case, and I ended up getting raided by the cops, and I was mad at the cops for taking that from me, and I didn't know they were angels at the time. I say that now. And so this attorney came to see me. He, come to find out, was, I knew him before. I didn't know he was in recovery, and he tricked me. I always say this, as I was tricked into the program, because he came to see me, and he's like, bro, like, and take in mind, I hit the cop at a courthouse, the ones that wand you when you go through the metal detectors. Yeah. Then I have to go back to court at the same place. So I wasn't a popular guy. And I'm yelling, I'm trash, and I'm yelling, it came out in court. Do you know who I am? I'll be out in half an hour. Oh, wow. Talk about ego. Yeah. I was out in like an hour on bail. But then I end up, when I use, I don't open mail. I thought that the case went away, and
Right,
We're
right.
supposed to have a court date, I guess.
Yeah.
So they raided me, and this attorney, Richard Pintel, he was like, he ended up becoming like my father figure, the only like man in my life that had ever been consistent for me. And you know, I spent years with him. He passed away a couple of years ago. But good man. He taught me how to be a man, what a real man is. He got me, tricked me, told me, I need you to go in this program in jail and act like an addict. It's the only chance you got. If he'd have told me I'm an addict, I'm like, I'm not an addict.
Act like an
Yeah,
addict.
yeah. I'm
Smart
like,
guy. Yeah.
yeah. Because I thought I'm a gangster,
Right.
drug dealer, and I'm definitely not one of those.
Yeah.
I was an addict through and through, and I was the last one to know, right? But anyway, I got out, got back in entertainment, you know, did some stuff, Cage versus Cons, where I had cops fighting cons, professional mixed martial arts. I got into that, did really well with it. Then my really close friend died of an overdose. And that's when I decided I want to do something about this.
And you're clean now.
I was clean.
Yeah.
And I've always been I was always like the instigator. I was always the person that like has the plan, and I would get everyone in trouble, like whether it's inside or outside. And Tyson will tell you, I was hustling the whole time, and there's always like my little plans, and they were always like bad, you know? And that's how it was with my friend. You know, he was my close friend. We're in YA together, prison together. He was the best man at my wedding. And I turned him on to the dope game and selling heroin. He wasn't even a heroin addict. He died of heroin. So I didn't, that was a big change for me then, because at the same time that happened, and then all out of the blue, after messing up everything, I got my daughter. And I was tripping because, one, I couldn't keep a plant alive. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to parent.
And how old was she?
10.
Okay.
And then not only that, but it's like she's a girl. And I didn't really have a reputation of like respecting women, you know, or even understanding anything about it, to be honest, you know. And you know, the at that time, you know, the last girl that had ever left me was my mom at 6. And you know, so I was, you know, trauma, all this different stuff, you know, and to get a child, and anyway, thank God for recovery. Thank God for recovery. Thank God for the people that God puts in my life in recovery. Because there I was, not having family coming in, and because of this thing that I didn't believe in. I didn't believe in the 12 steps. I thought it was dumb. I thought it was for weak-minded people following weak-minded people. I thought it was just the most illogical thing in the world.
Yeah.
I did it anyway.
Yeah. So how'd you get out of ego and being a victim?
Steps. And God, the thing that I didn't want to mess with. I hated God. Oh man, did I resent God.
And how did you find him?
He found me.
He found you.
Yeah. When I first came in, it was funny because I saw on the wall. So I'm in that jail when my friend had told me to go act like an addict, and I walk into this jail rehab, and right away, and I knew nothing about this stuff. And to me, if you're in jail or prison, we go by politics. There's like separation, you know? And I walk in there, and everyone's like sitting with each other, and some dude you know what I mean, Tyson? Some dude tries to come up and help me with my bedroll. And he wasn't of the skin tone that I am. And in prison, you know, that's about how everything is, you know. And you know, I was definitely, you know, my whole life I was misinformed by misinformed people, you know. And I tripped on him, and so I make an announcement. I threatened everybody there. And told him I'm not your friend. I thought it was like a PC yard. PC is protective custody in prison. So I was really confused about all of it. But I did notice one thing when I walked in that door. There was that word. They had the steps and the traditions on the wall. And I saw that word that I hate so much across the room, and it was God on step 3. And I was like, oh no. And I looked around, and I'm like watching everyone. They're like chanting. The book looks like a Bible. You know, kind of let you know if you leave us, you're going to die. The symbol looks like the Illuminati symbol.
All the things.
And I was like, oh, hell no. You know, and I was like, this is a weird ass cult. These people are weird.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, my sponsor, I don't have time to go into that, but God put my sponsor in my life. I knew him before. I didn't know he was in the program. Solid dude. He comes from my same background. And he told me, he's like, look, dude, I know you don't understand this, but just follow me. And I said, you know what, bro, you're the only one I'll kick it with. You're the only one because you're solid. And I told him I'm not doing the God thing, though. He's like, that's fine. That's step 3. How about, will you do step 1? And I said, yeah, I'll do that one. And thank God the steps are in order the way they are.
Yeah.
You know, and I did them despite me. I became an addict in the literature. I never had any intention of stopping using. I wanted to, but I didn't think I would. I didn't think that it was going to change my life. I thought that was so crazy because I thought, you know, I spoke fluent Victimese my whole life. I always, you know, anyone to try to tell me anything about, you know, you should stop or change your life, I'll bust out the resume on them. You know,
Right.
let's go with whose childhood trauma is more, who has better life. And I would always say, if you had a life like mine, you'd be doing what I'm doing. So get the fuck out of my face. And that was kind of how I led. You know, and I hadn't realized until the steps, you know, and I came into the program at 32 years old and I realized through the steps that like I had a traumatized little boy making adult decisions my whole life. When I was 32 years old, nobody had traumatized me in a long time, but I was still leading with that.
Yeah.
And it was like, and now through the steps, you know, and then I started praying even though I didn't want to. I started doing the actions. And I acted my way into better thinking. And I understand that, like, if I take the action, eventually my feelings and my thoughts catch up, you know? And I didn't even know that, but I was doing it. And despite me, it worked. You know, and one day, you know, like when my friend died and I got my daughter, that really was a very pivotal moment. Pivotal moment. I'm not educated. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, right.
That was a very pivotal moment in my life because I didn't know that I was capable of being selfless.
Yeah, that's funny. I was going to ask you about that because when you become a parent, you have to learn to be selfless.
Yeah.
And us as addicts, alcoholics, we're selfish people. So,
I have a theory on that.
Okay, what's the theory and how did you become selfless?
I think that parents, I don't think that like whenever a parent, I don't think you could truly understand selflessness until you're a parent. I have a theory on that.
I agree, actually.
And when I've met,
I agree.
Yeah.
When I even dating, to be honest with you, when I've dated girls that are not, you know, parents or anything, you know, that's cool and all, but women that actually are parents, they have that capability of selflessness and actually looking at other people, you know? And I guess that's what changed me. My daughter definitely did change me because I finally had something that meant more to me than what I want to do and than my own selfish needs. I didn't have drugs in me anymore because when I had drugs, like I didn't want to throw out my daughter before. I wanted in every fiber in my being, I wanted to be a good dad.
Yeah.
My intention was that. But the problem is when I take a drug, it takes me, a narcotic will go into my brain and it becomes my master. And I'm going to do what it wants, when it wants. I'm going to hang out with who it wants to and for how long.
Yeah.
And then I'm in denial thinking that I'm the one in charge.
Right.
Drugs will have me do that.
Yeah.
And just putting it out there, our brains don't know if a doctor prescribed those or if Chewy sold those on the street. Just saying.
For real. That was part of my story because I was like, I'm doctor prescribed, just taking what they give me. It's just Adderall. It's not meth.
Yeah, it was
like all these justifications, right? Like, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah.
They're drug dealers.
They
Yeah,
are
they
drug
are.
dealers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is that they're so powerful, you know, and that we have right now a whole industry, like this whole harm reduction is the next big scam that Big Pharma's doing, and that's their catchphrase, the same way that Purdue did with their little catchphrases with OxyContin.
It's non-addictive.
Yes, it's non-addictive.
How would they ever even say that? I'm like dumbfounded how that ever even happened, that it's non-addictive.
The same way doctors right now are saying Suboxone is harm reduction. The same exact way. What
Yeah.
happens is that what they're doing is they have the leading doctors that they pay and to do studies. That doctor is going to find when they say, oh, no, up next doctor.
Yeah.
They have the ones say what they want, but these doctors and these people, most of them are corrupt. That's just how it is. You can buy a person's loyalty, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And most humans are that way. And that's what happens whether they have a degree or not. And that's what Big Pharma is doing. And then when the doctors decide in Big Pharma, the whole system's broken. It should be absolutely illegal and unethical for a doctor to be able to get paid by a pharmaceutical company. It should be unethical, absolutely illegal,
absolutely.
that a politician that is supposedly running our country, that supposedly has the people's best interest, that they can get paid by outside parties.
Yeah.
But they're the ones that vote on it. They're the ones that decide, are we allowed? Do you think they're going to all vote and say, no, we can't take these special kickbacks?
Yeah. It's totally broken.
It's absolutely broken. It's corrupt. So, the whole system all the way down is broken. And if we look, nobody is really understanding that it's the same thing going on that was going on in the 90s. Like Big Pharma is doing all. So they created a crisis and China was able to come in and take advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, my story with Suboxone was I started on subs long before I knew what treatment was, what subs even were. I went to this doctor in Newport Beach. This is going back like 12 years, right?
Yeah.
And they put me on 24 milligrams a day and Adderall. Prescribed me both.
Yeah.
And there was no therapy. I didn't go to treatment. I wasn't hanging out with drug addicts, so I didn't even know what I was doing or what was going on.
Right.
And then one day I just thought, I think I'm good. I'm going to stop taking the subs. And I was in the hospital, deathly ill, and I went right back to opiates. So it didn't do any good for me. To each their own in that space, but that was my journey with it. So what's the alternative to that then?
Well, here's the funny part. If we'll go on this whole thing, it's definitely not popular, but not an educated guy, but I've done a little research, right? And anyone that is a doctor or that actually knows science in the brain is the way that Suboxone works, or any kind of so you have a hold on.
Are you pulling it up? Is he on his phone?
Yeah.
He's getting the facts. Okay.
Yeah. So you have a receptor, right, in your brain, right? And what happens is if you use, like, let's say you use an agonist. An agonist is actually like a drug that comes in. Let's go with your heroin or your fentanyl. What happens? It comes over and they fire up like, I feel good. Your receptors like, okay, right?
Yep.
And if you have an antagonist, what it does is it comes over and it covers up those receptors to where any drug that comes in, it's not going to go in there, right? That's what Vivitrol does. That's what naltrexone does. That's why that Vivitrol will actually make it where you can't get high, right, off of this stuff, because it just hits it, right? But then you have a partial agonist, is actually what Suboxone is. And Suboxone, what it does is it covers right here to where, yes, the heroin is you're not gonna feel the heroin, but what you do feel is the Suboxone. So you're still getting high.
Yeah.
That is why, if you have, let's say you take I don't know, what kind of regular psychotropic. Let's say you take Prozac. Every day you take Prozac. Let's say you take Prozac and you know that you got to take it at 8 in the morning. A lot of times you're going to be like, oh yeah, I forgot to take my Prozac. I'm going to take it later. If you know anyone on Suboxone, if they take it at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're there at 7:45, 7:30.
Yeah.
They're not going to
That's
miss.
a
They're not
fact.
going to forget to take your Suboxone. Why is that? It's because you're addicted to it. And that is the problem.
Is that like saying, "Oh, I forgot to take my heroin this morning"?
Correct. Yeah. I never forgot that. And it's the same thing. But the thing I can understand now. Look, I can understand we have this crisis going on. There's death everywhere. That's why people are getting scammed or some of them believe it because they're not doing their own research, or more importantly, they don't know people themselves or have their own experience on Suboxone. So they're sitting back like these centers, these doctors, these people, they're like, okay, they're hearing harm reduction. So let's put them on Suboxone to where they don't die of fentanyl right now, right? That's what they're thinking. So like, sure, of course. And anyone against that. If that's the case, well, then why don't they just use Vivitrol?
So do you support Vivitrol?
100%.
Okay.
100%. You cannot get high off of it. That's true harm reduction. True harm reduction. Why would you push Suboxone instead of Vivitrol? You know why that is? Because Vivitrol you take once a month.
Less money.
Less money.
Less
Less
money.
time. And the thing about Suboxone is you take Suboxone maintenance. Now don't get me wrong. I believe in Suboxone for detox. I think it's the best detox. Once you're done with detox, if you get off of all narcotic medications, what'll happen is at that point, your brain will be able to heal. And personally, I think that if you get something to substitute that hole in ourselves that has to find some outside thing to make us feel whole, which I found is 12 steps, which led me to a higher power, which led me to be of service to others to where I'm not thinking of myself all the time. And I do believe in good therapy, good trauma therapy specifically.
Yeah.
Because not all people with trauma are addicts, but all addicts have trauma. And I think it needs to be addressed, or we're going to bleed on people that never cut us.
Yep.
But the thing is the whole Suboxone thing, it's sickening because Big Pharma is getting rich. Treatment centers are getting more authorization because of it. What that looks like is they're able to make more money from insurance companies if you poison addicts with Suboxone. They're not getting it with Vivitrol and naltrexone.
Yeah, you make a really good point. So at your facility at Stairway, they can be on Vivitrol?
Oh, right. I highly encourage it for any opiate addict.
Yeah.
100%.
And how long do you suggest someone stays on that?
Honestly, for us, we're big 12-step based. I believe 12 steps is a solution if you're an addict or an alcoholic. Same thing. I suggest until because at the beginning when we first get clean, if we've been on like crazy runs, we're so insane. And that emotional roller coaster is so insane. And we just want to get high. And what it'll do is it'll take down the cravings a little bit, but I'm really big into getting the steps right away. More importantly, getting the service right away.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting there thinking of me and thinking about how I'm feeling, I'm going to go down that negative rabbit hole and I'm going to go get loaded.
Yeah.
But if I go and I talk to somebody else, if I have 5 days clean and I go to talk to somebody that has 1 day clean,
yeah,
I'm listening to them. I'm hearing their stuff. I'm telling them how they can get 5 days clean because I got it. Weirdly, I stay clean to have 6 days. And that's the key. And what we do, I think, is you're of service. You start 12 first, which is service in the 12 steps. And then we go through the steps. And personally, I think that there is a big awakening on step 5, and there's a big awakening on step 9. You know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about the promises of step 9, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, at that point, we're able to make better decisions as the promises say. And we start going, okay, you know, do I need any crutches? Do I need them? No.
Yeah.
I do understand the argument with Suboxone, same category to me.
Yeah.
About trying to get, you know, just that time and get them to stop. Because when you have the addict that's like on fentanyl, it's so addictive, you know, and I deal
long-term users.
Yeah, I deal with it every day, you know, and it's insane. And, you know, that level of craving is so high.
Yeah.
You know, but we have to do something, I think, from a treatment standpoint. If you're in the treatment industry, you know, I do believe in detox. We have to get the drugs out of our system, right? Going to meetings when you're, you know, try to kick fentanyl on your own and just go to meetings. The chances of that is probably not very good.
Unfortunately,
you know?
not good.
You know, but, you know, you get detox, get that stuff out of your system, you know, getting it. Long-term treatment does work. You know, honestly, I was in that impact in that treatment center in jail for 1 year and 4 months. I needed but I was fighting that life sentence.
Yeah.
Had me in there. And I thank God, you know, that I wasn't, you know, these 30-day, you know, going into treatment for 30 days. God, I was still crazy at 6 months.
Yeah, that was going to
You
be
know?
my next question, because for a lot of people it takes time, right?
Yeah.
It takes time.
All
So
of us.
so how do you get through that time? You're saying, work the steps, be of service, have God come into your life however you see it. And cuz
I think good treatment, if you're actually doing good treatment,
Yeah.
also can be. It's more of an ancillary thing to recovery, but
Yeah.
absolutely, getting good therapy, trauma work, neurofeedback's great. Even
Yeah.
TMS, transmagnetic cranial stimulation, is amazing
Yeah.
for depression and anxiety. And honestly, there's a lot of us addicts that I believe I think with addiction, there is mental health. And I think that both are need to be addressed. 'Cause I
Absolutely.
think that one goes with the other,
they totally do.
and they have to be addressed. In the mental health piece,
Yeah.
I'm not a person that an old school person, just do your 12 steps and don't take psychotropic medications, right on that because you have depression. No, depression is a chemical imbalance.
Yeah.
The only thing that can help a chemical imbalance is a chemical. And I do understand that. And, like good psychiatry, a psychiatrist that takes the time and knows, and you can even do through your genes to find out exactly what specifically works for you, what psychotropic specifically works for you. And by going on a good psychotropic, if needed, but good psychiatry, good therapy, neurofeedback's great, and the 12 steps. In my experience, it works.
Yeah.
And long-term treatment does work. The problem is you look at ask most people that have gone to treatment, they go for 30 days. Of course, Addict Man tells me, oh, I'm done. So I'm cured. Time to go home. And if you've never gone to treatment, or you have a family member, today, it's like you have a family member, their kid's on fentanyl.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Because, when I was a kid, weed was my drug of choice when I was in high school and junior high. No, now it's pills.
Yep.
And it's opiates.
Yeah.
And the kids are getting hooked because of Big Pharma. They're getting hooked because of Big Pharma initially. Then they end up on the street buying fentanyl.
Yeah.
And you have a parent or a loved one, and they're like, how do I help this person? So what do? They Google.
Right.
I'm going to Google how to help. And they don't know, because you look at, on Google, these shady, they think they are ethical. Sure. Do they work? No. The ones that are spending the most money, are on the top of the list.
Yeah.
And a regular person, a normal person, an average person does not know that this is a long-term problem
Yeah.
to a long-term solution. But instead they go, oh my gosh, I'll do anything. They'll go and refi their houses for these high-end treatment facilities, and they're thinking, I'll do anything to fix my kid. And the kids think the same thing. I'm going to go get fixed. Treatment centers, they're telling them pretty much that.
Yeah.
And this is the reality, right? It used to be where 12 steps was the main thing in treatment. It's very rare. Tyson and I were at a what are those things called? We have people kissing each other's ass.
Symposium.
Symposium, yeah.
People.
We're over at one of those networking things, and it was so funny. A couple of people said to us that we do the old school stuff. Old school.
This is my friend Tyson. They do the old school way. It's their way.
The old school way. No, it's the now school way. It still works the same way it worked since the beginning. It's the only thing that consistently has worked. The problem is you can't monetize AA and NA, and that's why people don't want to do it.
Boom. Yep. True.
And let's just I'm sure you guys have heard of places that have the cure or whatever, and treatment. The whole Malibu changed the game. Malibu treatment and all of treatment in 2008, when they made it where private insurances would pay for behavioral health, it changed the game. And you had all these characters get in this industry that want to make money.
Yeah.
And, anybody that actually comes that is a real professional, real doctor, any kind of medical professional, if they take a look at the treatment industry, it's subpar. Everything about it's subpar. And they don't have to be. That's why you'll get these clinicians, these doctors are on 20 places. You have your psychiatrist and your doctor, and they prostitute themselves around to all the treatment centers, and they get paid per client. They don't know their names. Everyone's bipolar, and let's throw some meds at them. And everyone's on Suboxone. Let's just keep on rolling, right?
Yeah.
And they're getting paid. And, they'll anywhere else outside of treatment, it's, medical is generally, there's a lot more oversight and people want to be professionals, but it's just this really sick game that isn't working. And these parents will send their kid to a treatment center. They think they're fixed. They went and refied their houses, did anything to do it. The kid gets out and they're like, why is he back on fentanyl?
Yeah. So what do families, loved ones, what do they do then? How do they find the appropriate care?
That is the problem. The problem is that all of these places, they have so much money that they're marketing all this whole thing. And it's very rare to find any place that is really pushing the solution.
Is there red flags that families can look for?
Well, personally, yeah. If you're not doing 12 steps, then if you're not having the 12 steps, then you don't really care. But let's just look at this. From a business standpoint, if I had a customer and I knew that customer would come in 4 times a year or once in their lifetime, which would I want?
Right.
I'd probably want to make more money, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of, I might be cynical, but I kind of think that a lot of these business people would rather have, repeat customers. And it seems to me, and the thing is this isn't an opinion. I'm kind of the last guy on the block type of place.
Uh-huh.
And, everybody knows not everybody, but a lot of people in this industry, they'll call me and be like, hey, I have the perfect guy for you. You know what that means when they say that? They have failed at every other place. They've been through 30 places. They keep overdosing. Nobody will even take them anymore. And behaviorally, they are out of control. Mm-hmm. That's the person that they say, Michael, I got the perfect guy for you. Mm. And you know what's crazy? I don't care if you've been through 30, 50 treatment centers or if this is your first time. I absolutely can show you how to stay clean. 100%. 100%. I can guarantee it. You know why? Because I'm clean.
Yeah.
And it's just like baking a cake. If I know the ingredients to a cake and I know how to bake a cake, and if you stand right next to me and I say, okay, here's what we're going to do. If you want what I have, you're going to have to do what I do. But you cannot negotiate your terms of surrender. You cannot. Mm-hmm. Because half measures availed us nothing.
Yes.
So if I sit next, if you stand next to me, I say, okay, here's what we're going to do is I'm going to put in 2 eggs. And you're like, I kind of want 1 egg. And you put in 1 egg. And I'm like, all right, we're putting in flour right here. And you're like, yeah, I'm not really into flour. I'm going to do cornmeal. And we put those cakes in. We do this whole thing. You got your way and some of mine. And we put them in the oven. We pull out the cake. Your cake's not going to look like mine. But then the addict's going to blame me, of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. But it's true. It's true. There is a solution that works. And there's so many of us out there that are actually sober that have changed their lives. And these are the people that a lot of times I'm not very popular with because I have an opinion. I understand if you're not one of us, you're not an addict. I understand, that for you, it's a business. Mm-hmm. For you, it's, you came in here, you see the money. Most of the time they don't really look at us as quite equal. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. They think we're sick. They can't understand us. Why, I've heard it a million times. Why would you continue to keep doing what you're doing? If I could choose, you think I would? I'd choose to throw out my daughter. The drugs did.
Yeah.
But a normal person can't understand that. They think we're crazy, which we probably are. But right? But if you're one of us and one of our people and you suffer from the same thing that we do and you know how hopeless it seems out there and you see how many of our people are dying and you choose to get in this industry, and I don't give a shit if you're an owner all the way down to a tech. And if you're sitting there watching our people get taken advantage of and not pointed to the solution that worked for you, and I'm not talking about anything else, but if you're sober and you got sober a certain way, I'll bet you got sober the same way I did because it all works, and you're not pushing that agenda to someone else, you're selling our people for $1.
So what do you think about treatment centers that say, well, we can't push AA because they give it away for free, so we can't do groups on that because we can't bill for it? Let's get technical for a second.
100%.
What do you say to those people?
You should not be billing for Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Fuck no. No, what you do is treatment is to deal with relapse prevention, anger management, therapy, trauma, all your mental health needs. But what we do is you have a requirement of meetings you have to go to.
Okay.
You have to have a sponsor within 2 weeks or I'm going to find one for you. Mm-hmm. You have to be consistently working on your steps. If you're not progressing on your steps weekly, this is not the right place for you. Mm-hmm. And I have a rule in Stairway. It's an odd one, but it says you must love each other. Mm. Love is not a feeling. Love is an action.
Yes, it is.
I don't have to like you.
Yeah.
But I show love by making you do your steps. I will kick you out of our place, out of this whole thing if you're not going to continue on your steps, because you know what's going to happen? 90-something% you'll be back.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that we're known for is our community. And the reality is I didn't build a community. God built the community. We have a massive community, and that's what we're known for. But really what it is, it's just all it is the principles of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. Everyone happens to do a program. When we're doing the steps, we need each other. We need each other, period.
Yeah.
Our problem is our connection. We don't have a connection with ourselves. I don't have a connection with you, and I definitely don't have a connection with God when I'm in my addiction and in early recovery. So our solution is to get a connection. For me, the only way I could connect with another human being was I first had to work on me. And in order to work on me and get rid of everything that was blocking that connection I was so afraid of, and tear down those walls. And for me, it was the 12 steps and good therapy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm about treatment the right way, but find me places that are really doing it. And the reality is they get more authorization the sicker you are. You know, and it's sad, you know, and here's the reality. You know why nobody's pushing 12 steps? Because they think they're not going to get clients. That's why. And that's a fact of all facts.
Yeah.
The reason that, you know, Malibu started it all, because that's really where it all started. These big Malibu places, and they started saying evidence-based. You know what that meant? We're not doing 12 steps, right? And I don't know about you, but the 12 steps were the last thing I tried and the first thing that worked. You ask any addict that's clean, they didn't believe in the program. They thought it was dumb, didn't want to do it. We're usually nudged into it. I don't think any of us start this thing for the right reason. You know, I've heard a lot of times you have to do it for yourself. How could I do it for myself at the beginning? I didn't care about myself. I hated myself. I did it because I had a huge court case over me.
Yeah.
You know, some people do it for their kid, their wife, they don't know where to go right now, and they're just trying to figure out their next stop. It doesn't matter why you do it. You just do it.
Yeah.
It's not for those that want it. It's not for those that need it. It's the ones that do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is like,
The light goes on.
and then the light goes on
So
despite us.
yeah. So what do you guys, because you guys both sponsor men, right? There's this big stigma, this embarrassment, guilt, and shame around relapse, right? That happens a lot. And so what are your suggestions, you know, someone out there watching or somebody that's just gone out and they're like, fuck,
Yeah.
I got to come back. I got to take, you know, a newcomer chip. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to tell people. I mean, what do you guys tell guys that are going through that?
Yeah, well, you know, I think that, you know, our brains tell us as soon as we get loaded how we're a failure. We're never going to amount to anything. Everyone hates us. They're going to judge us. You know, but it takes it. You should not be ashamed if you relapse. You should be ashamed if you don't come back. The reality is the courage that it takes to walk into a room, and every single person, all you guys that have, especially your multiple relapsers, if you could just think, if you're relapsing right now, if you're in a relapse right now, think about when you relapsed before. You probably thought everyone's going to judge me. If you're in the program of AA or NA, when you went to those meetings and you told people, it was the exact opposite of what you thought. Because we always think, whenever we think of ourselves, we always think the most negative. We hate ourselves, so we talk about ourselves the way we do. But none of it's reality. It's all denial. You know, Addict Man tells me lies. And we just show up. And if you just show up, and it doesn't matter if you're high or not, show up to a meeting. Show up to us. The one thing is we understand. Like I say it all the time. Like the one thing I will not judge is somebody that's high or somebody that's on drugs. That's the one thing I will never judge. That, and the day that I do,
They're supposed to be high.
correct. Yeah, we're supposed to be high. It's the miracle when we're clean. Absolutely. And the reality is like if I got loaded today or tomorrow and you judged me, fuck you.
Yeah.
Because we're addicts and we need each other and we understand each other, you know, and there's no judgment there. You
That's
know?
what people need to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you
100%.
add anything to that?
Yeah, I relapsed probably 723 times since I
Same.
started using drugs. And every time, you know, I want the addict to realize you haven't failed when you've relapsed. You've just gotten a better understanding against what you're up against, you know, and how much more serious you need to take this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's also an understanding of how powerless you actually are over the drugs and the alcohol.
Yeah.
The relapse shows you like you need that connection to have a choice in the matter. An addict doesn't have a fucking choice when they've crossed that line. They're going to get high.
Yeah.
Now, what is it that gives us the power in that choice? Well, just keep coming back, and we'll keep teaching you how to have that power in the choice.
That's right.
Totally. So what does your life look like today?
Well, my daughter just turned 24.
Wow.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And she ended up nothing like I was at her age.
Thank God.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, and everyone says their kid's a good kid, but I mean, my daughter really is. She's like sweet. She won't even cuss around me. I try to trick her into doing it. She won't even do it. I had her read a paper one time and it said motherfucker in it. And I was like, can you read this for me really quick? And she skipped it. I'm like, no. I need to hear it all to get the true understanding. She's like, Dad, I'm not going to disrespect you that way.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah.
Good job, Dad.
I thank God and the program. I didn't know how to parent. I learned these principles. They have spiritual principles attached to each step, and those are the tools that I have. And it's funny. My daughter has. Well, I used to say she's never been to a meeting. She's only been to one meeting a few months ago to see me speak. But I never. It was just my own choice. She had never been to a meeting. But my daughter, it's funny. All my friends laugh because she knows every one of our lines. She knows every spiritual principle. She knows to get into the solution. She's funny because that's all I knew was what I would learn in the book, what I would learn in step work. And then when she would have issues, I would just bring to her the solutions and the principles that she could apply in her life. And that's all I did. And it's proof that the program worked for my daughter and she's not an addict.
Wow.
That's the craziest part.
I love that.
Yeah, it's dope. And she's dope. It's the best. When she hit 18, I was probably more happy than her. I couldn't believe it. No, the whole time I'm like, she's going to be prostituting and smoking crack for sure. You know what I mean? If she's my daughter.
Right, yeah.
But no, she's amazing. So my daughter's doing good. She's about to graduate from college, also has a full-time job. I have zero education, which is cool. I'm proud of her. She still lives with me. I stepped away. I have a tattoo shop called Interstate Ink, which is really dope. My business partner's church. He's a dope guy, man. And I helped him get clean and, very talented artist. And, he didn't even know me. And I told him on the phone, I said, years ago, I said, hey bro, you don't know me, but if you get on this plane right now, I'm going to give you a place to live.
Wow.
I'm going to give you a chair in my shop and I'm going to show you how to stay clean.
Nice.
And, that was years ago, and he now helps other men that are struggling with their addiction, that are tattoo artists.
Right on.
And he finds them, gets them, and we help them get clean, and they have a chair at our shop.
Nice.
And everyone in our shop, they're all in recovery. We've all helped them get clean, and they're amazing tattoo. Like Church, I'll put him against anyone. He is a badass tattoo artist. But anyway, I have Interstate Ink, which is really dope. And then, of course, the stairway stuff. I haven't, I stepped away from entertainment because a lot of stuff happened to me. Life was, my friend died and I had broken my back and then I married someone. They left a couple weeks later. And, life was a little rough a few years ago, or like 2017. And that's where I started Stairway. I hated this industry. I was watching what was going on. And that was back when the body brokering was crazy and all this stuff. And I did the opposite of what everyone does. Most people get into this, they get a detox first because detox is where the money's at. Anyone that knows sober living, if you have sober livings, you're running them the right way. You'll never make a dime on it. You actually lose money on them.
I had one.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And so I started as sober living. I started as a passion project. I haven't stepped back to, now we have 140 clients or a huge community. We've helped thousands of addicts, and everyone that works for us, besides our clinicians and my psychiatrists, all went through Stairway. And it's just really dope. There I was, and I have so many friends that I love so much. And it's weird how God works. I came into this with no family, nobody. I ended up getting the only person in my family alive is my daughter. And then, God gave me this amazing family. I got like Tyson, I got all these different friends, and they like chose to love me. It's pretty dope. And it's funny because I went to help them just to be of service. And then God gave me people that love me, just really dope. Like I love the people in our life, like my friend Alex was one of them, But yeah. And then, my friend Bill, his name's Bill Jericho. He was a huge person in our community. And man, did he help a lot of people. He was on that show Intervention, and they had asked me if I want to help him, and I'm like, sure. And they thought, because most of these treatment centers want to help the intervention people because they're like, yeah, you're going to plug my center. I don't want my center plugged on that shit. So I just wanted to help the guy, and I wouldn't let them plug me, but I helped him just to help the guy. And it's funny, he ended up becoming such a close friend of mine for many, many, many years. And he's helped so many guys and girls. And 4 months ago, he relapsed and died.
I'm so sorry.
And he had started a foundation. His sister had died a couple years before. And his mom, Kathy, and his brother, Buddy, and him started a foundation called Spark. And it's Spark Life. And they, to help addicts that have nothing, and they come from Kensington Street. And if you guys are watching, right now, that now you have the trank out there. And if you guys see the craziest videos online where you have the addicts with holes in their bodies, that's all Kensington Street. And we used to watch years ago, California, we were watching this fentanyl crisis over there, and we were watching the bloodbath going on. Now it's happening here, and it's catching up here. And people think that this is bad right now with fentanyl in California. Oh no, this just started. We are going to have a bloodbath here because that has been what's happening on the East Coast, and we're catching up. And now the new thing is this trank that's coming through, and it's crazy. And anyway, Bill's from there, and they were helping people, and when he died 4 months ago, I'm honored. His family asked me to take his part in that foundation, and so I'm really honored, and it's a full nonprofit, and so we're doing a lot of cool stuff, and we had been involved with because we try to help women that have been sex trafficked as well. There's an organization that had approached me, and I've been watching them, and they do like really, really good, cool stuff with women and help women. And a lot of women that are addicts have been sex trafficked or trafficked themselves, and and that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And so this organization, Samantha's weekend came, and Samantha's an amazing lady, and she came, and I'm very, I don't know what the word is, not cynical. I'm just careful. I'm protective over our addicts because I think there's so many people out there that are parasites that are, trying to take advantage of our people, a lot because addicts are sick and a lot of people take advantage of them, from the treatment industry to the doctors to people organizations to help them. And so I was very cynical at the beginning, and I watched what they were doing. And there's a man named Victor Marks. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is. He's huge. I was kind of impressed with him. He holds the record for being able to disarm somebody the fastest, but he has this cool organization where he hunts pedophiles.
Yeah.
I love that.
And all over the world. And he's rescued, literally in Iraq, they rescued over 30,000 women and children that were getting massacred by ISIS.
Jesus.
Him and his little special team, because they're special forces too, or ex-special forces, they went in there, and they don't just talk about it. They go in there armed and go and help and save.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like people like that.
Yeah,
and,
me too.
and even if I don't agree with your belief systems, your religions, your any of that, the action that you're taking is what I'm looking at.
Yep.
Period. And that man I'm very impressed with, and he's associated with Samantha's weekend and Samantha, and what that organization did was they came over to Stairway, and I was watching them, and I seen what they're doing, and now they're part of our organization. And what they do is a lot of our women, they'll come in, and we, at the beginning, I personally think that when we deal with trauma later, not at the beginning. Because if I'm standing on a railroad tracks and a train's about to hit me, I'm not worried about the caboose. And the first car, that engine car, is your fentanyl or your opiate or whatever it is that you're addicted to. That's the first thing we need to address. And so what we do, our way of doing things is we'll deal with the substance abuse disorder initially, and get you stable. And then once you get stable, and honestly, if you're in your steps, the thing about step work is when we start to do it, we start to get honest with ourselves, and then we're capable of really looking in and having the courage to get honest about the things that we need to address, which is trauma. And that's why, people will see that trauma therapy without dealing with addiction doesn't work. You know, addicts have tried to go to therapy a million times. They keep getting loaded and they wonder why. Right?
Yeah.
But we do that. We will go and deal with substance abuse, and then we get into the trauma. Then we get into our trauma work that we do at Stairway. And then what happens is Samantha will come in, and when we've decided, okay, this is a good fit, what they do is they do this really cool stuff where they teach these women. They build their self-worth. There's a lot of cool stuff they do. I went out there too, and I did a bunch of stuff. They show you how to, because they're all of their team is like.
Talk about the training center in Colorado.
Yeah, they have this training center that Victor Marx has out there, and all of these people, it's crazy. They're like, this one guy is #1 in the world of hand-to-hand combat. This other guy's like #1 in shooting, and all these crazy special forces guy, but they're all retired now and have joined Victor Marx's organization to help people in the world. And so we go out there and they teach them like for the women, knives. They teach them with knives, how to kill a man quickly. Women need to know that.
Hell yeah.
And
I want to go.
Yeah, they teach you that. Then they teach you guns.
Emily, you want to go?
Yeah.
We'll kill some men.
Well,
All
so
right.
they're going to teach you, they'll teach them how to take down a man of any size with your hands, with your feet. They teach you the moves of jiu-jitsu, the best ones. And they have, the best in the world training you over a week, and they can teach
That's
you
so
how to
rad.
take a guy down.
Nice.
So they do it with their hands. Then they show you with a knife, and then they show you with a gun. And it's really, really amazing stuff. And you're being trained by the best in the world. But the best part of the whole weekend and the whole thing that they do is the trauma work that they do after, and the empowerment they give to these women. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really a big fan. And I'm honored that they're part of our organization.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that with our women as well. And what we're doing with Spark is we're attaching Spark to all of these other organizations, because I think that what was missing maybe in a lot of these, there's a lot of organizations that are helping women and children and that are being trafficked. And if you ask them to be honest and say, how many of your women are returning to the same predators that took them, or to the same thing that was victimizing them? And there's a massive amount. And the reason that is because what they're not addressing, and most people don't understand, is how to deal with addiction. Most people do not understand how to deal with addiction. That's a fact of facts. Even people that are professionals don't know how to deal with addiction. First, they need to deal with that addiction part. And if they would deal with the addiction, they're going to see a higher rate, because, you deal with the addiction and then you deal with the trauma. And what's cool about Samantha's weekend and Victor Marx and all of that is they take these women, they help them change, and then those women help other women. So they bring on the women to help other women. And it's like our same philosophy if you're an Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, is if you get sober, the only way you stay sober is helping other people get sober.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they have those same exact precepts that we have, without even being in the program.
I
So
love that.
enormous. Yeah.
I want to go to that.
Oh, you guys are going to go. You and Tyson are going to go.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's
We're
do
gonna
it.
Go to the next one. Yeah.
So how can people find you?
Flares. No. Well,
Flares.
Yeah, flares.
Just send the flares, you
send the
guys. That's it.
I don't know, like what, my social media?
Yeah, I mean, if people want to read, you got a lot going on. If people want to find you, reach out to you,
Yeah,
whether
my
it's
name's-
Stairways or
my
something
name's
else.
Michael Lynch. You can usually Google me.
Yeah.
And you'll find all of my stuff, I guess.
Okay.
Even my Instagram is just Michael_Lynch_ or something. But if you want to actually make a difference, and get involved truly with what we're doing, you can go to spark-life.com, which is
Okay.
SPARC-life.com. Really cool organization, really making a difference. And anyone out there, if you really want to get away from the sidelines and you actually do want to do something, and I really do believe this, and I believe in humanity. Before I did not, but I do believe there's a lot of people out there that want to do something. They just don't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And if you want to be a part of this, like I try to attach myself to anybody that's helping, and I don't want shit out of it other than I want to help you help people. Like Tyson, Tyson started the fentanyl thing, which is really cool. I'm about it. Our friends also have Fuck the Stigma, which is a really cool thing too. and then, getting involved with these other organizations that are helping, the sex trafficking of children and of
Yeah.
women and all of that, I've been attaching to. And anyone that's dealing with addiction that wants to help, or, because if we unite together, we can do more.
Hell yeah, we can.
And I'm not in competition with anyone. I
Yeah.
don't like the treatment industry. I'm not trying to care about, I need to get clients
Yeah.
or any of that type of shit. I'm a member of the program first, and I just want to help addicts. That's all
Yeah.
I want to do.
Yeah. And when you help addicts and you do the right thing, all that other stuff comes no matter what, It does. It just does.
Yeah.
Tyson, you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
I'm grateful for Michael, and of course, one of our friends, passed away today, and rest in peace to Alex. And this is just another opportunity to take this fentanyl epidemic much more serious. And all this does, every time one of my friends dies, it just makes me stronger, and it makes me understand how much of a purpose this is for me to continue to help people that are suffering, and that I'm sick and tired of family and friends dying. My words aren't coming out like I clearly as I would want them to today, but fuck fentanyl. Rest in peace, Alex. We love you. And I love you, Mike.
I love you too, bro. And you know what, everyone out there, fuck you, fentanyl dealers. Fuck you.
Agreed. Fuck fentanyl dealers. All right. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's
Thanks
an
for
honor.
coming on. Means a lot. And thanks for all you do in the community. Really, truly. All right, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.